What on earth is happening? Oh, when the Yanks go marching in, guys. This week will go down in USMNT lore. An amazing week for so many reasons. Good roster comes out. Sorry, I wasn't able to do a roster video on that. Guys, I literally recovered from COVID just yesterday. I'm still a little weak, and my voice is not back to 100%, but it's getting better. But, guys, what a weekend that was. We had Pulisic on fire. I mean, so we'll talk about it in the USMNT top 10. But these are the kind of weekends that I think, and remember, last weekend was really good too. I think we're at a bit of a tipping point where these weekends will start to become more common simply because our player pool is getting better. A lot of our young guys are getting more and more minutes. Overall, just a really fantastic week. How about you guys? Judgmental Deity says this might be the best week for Americans abroad we've had in history. I agree. I think this is probably the best. I can't remember a week where it was better. The only thing that would have made it perfect is if Gio had a goal or an assist or something, but he did have a goal involvement and he's back playing. So that alone is huge, and he's back in the national team. Chris Johnson says, don't forget Ferreira. He had an assist. Good for him. Good for him. I hope he has a very long and happy career in MLS. How have you guys been? Ken, I'm good. Judgmental Deity, thank you. Matt, thank you. I appreciate it. How's your guys' week been? What have you guys been up to? What did everybody think of the roster? We didn't get a chance really to talk about it. Oh, by the way, at the top, I have put the Discord link. So after we finish the top 10, we're going to try a call-in show. I don't know if my voice will hold out, but I want to start doing these regularly, maybe once a week or something. Okay, so if you guys want, you have to download Discord, I believe. President Chip help me set it up. So if you have any questions about the logistics side of it, he's in the chat there, as you can see. Ask him about it. It seems pretty straightforward. We'll try it out. We'll see if you guys enjoy it. We'll see the quality of the sound, if it works. If it's good and people like it, then we'll try to do it more often so you guys can give your thoughts in an audio format as opposed to just, the chat. So hop in there towards the end of the show if you want. Judgmental Deity says, great roster, no complaints. I agree. 2 good rosters in a row from Greg Berhalter. That's encouraging. Now we just got to sort out the on-field issues. We can sort those out. We are cooking. Pete, do you know if Tack will join? No, not today. Not today. He won't join. But maybe in the future. Maybe we'll do call-in shows in the future. Is Brendan Aronson playing well? He is not, Dahar. He is probably the not want to say the worst, but yeah, I guess the most disappointing American abroad so far this season. I can't think of anybody else who's been more disappointing than Brendan in terms of expectations versus reality. I think he's been the most disappointing. Maybe Ethan Horvath, but we kind of didn't expect him to play. So I still think Brendan is it. Kenneth says, I have complaints. No A-Rob or McKenzie, both who played for their teams. So it's an interesting question, Kenneth. What's his name? A-Rob is fit and available to play, but he does have a pre-hernia, according to Greg Berhalter. And they feel like he could still come and play, but that this 2-week break would be the best time for him to have it taken care of ahead of the November window when it's actually competitive and we have to qualify for Copa America. So I'm actually with him on that. I agree. I think that, these are friendlies. We'll get a chance to look at Christopher Lund against some good quality opposition, which is necessary. Like, we know who A-Rob is. We don't need to see him at this point. So I'm fine, and we don't want him to get injured. He's still our number 1 left back, right? So I have no problem with A-Rob missing this camp in order to take care of this pre-hernia so that we can have him fit and healthy for November or, longer down the line. We'll see Lund. We'll probably see some day one. I'm curious to see both. Honestly, I would give them both a game, or maybe I would give 60 minutes to Lund and 30 minutes to day one, just to see, because we've seen day one in the Gold Cup where he was pretty good. We've seen him against CONCACAF opposition and in MLS. We have not seen DeJuan Jones against good quality opposition. So this might be a good time to see that, right? Him and Christopher Lund, because they're probably fighting it out to be A-Rob's backup right now, those two, because Wiley and Tolkien are with the under-23 group, the Olympic group, right? So those two are probably fighting it out to be his backup. So here you go. We have 2 tough games. A-Rob is not available. Convince me. Let's see. I think if we were playing a World Cup qualifier, Jedi probably would have come. Yeah, I agree. BMR. But enough of me yip-yapping. Let's go straight into the USMNT top 10. All right. Number 10 is Tanner Tessmann from Venezia. They beat Parma 3-2. 3-2. He played 90 minutes, scored 1 goal, created 1 chance, 13 passes into the final third, didn't win many of his ground duels, and won all of his 1 aerial duel. It was a nice goal. His friend and fellow USMNT teammate Busio also scored for Venezia, and he was in contention to make it into the top 10. The problem is that Busio also gave up a penalty in the same game, so that just bumped him out of the top 10. It was a tough week. You had to be really good this week to make the top 10. There are a lot of guys who might normally make the top 10 with their performance who didn't make it this week simply because there was so much stiff competition. This was the goal. It popped out to him, and he didn't take a touch. He just curled it into the corner of the net with his left foot. A very quick, improvised goal, and well done. They ended up winning that game 3-2. So congrats to Tanner Tessmann, who is also in the under-23 roster. The under-23 roster did drop today. I'm going to do a video on it tomorrow because I wanted to focus on the top 10 today. Then tomorrow I'll do a video on it. Number 9 is Brian Reynolds. Played 78 minutes for Westerlo against Kortrijk, probably. Got 1 assist in the 1-0 win. Westerlo won that game 1-0, which they needed. Created 2 chances, 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, 1 out of 2 accurate crosses, 4 out of 6 ground duels won, and no aerial duels won. Although that is actually not true because he literally won an aerial duel before he got the assist. Now, this was the moment of the assist, but obviously this is a screenshot. This actual goal started with Brian Reynolds in his own defensive third. A ball comes in, he's up against an attacker, he wins the ball in the air, brings it down, picks up the loose ball, runs into midfield, beats a guy on the dribble, passes it forward to the right, continues his run into the box, receives the ball back from whoever it was on the right, I don't know who it was, and then passed it here to his teammate who scored to make it 1-0. So it was a very, very good goal assist from Brian Reynolds, and that's what makes him into top 10. I believe he also won man of the match. Brian Reynolds is also in the under-23 roster and probably our starting under-23 right back for the Olympics, to be honest. Auston Trusty finally got a start for Sheffield United against Fulham, in which he played 90 minutes. Now, they did lose this game 3-1 to Fulham, and they are rooted to the bottom of the Premier League table in the last relegation spot with only 1 point in 8 games. That being said, for his first start in the Premier League, right, he did quite well. None of the goals were his fault. You could maybe make an argument on the first goal that in the build-up he should have committed a foul, but you cannot place any of the goals on him. He also started on the left-hand side of a back 3, and then during the game, when obviously Chris Basham had to go off, I don't know if anybody saw that injury, completely horrific. I hope the guy makes a full recovery. But he had to move into central midfield, and I thought he acquitted himself quite well against a Premier League side. Remember, 18 months ago, this guy was playing for the Crapids, right? He goes to Arsenal. We're all like, what is going on? He's never going to play for Arsenal. This seems weird. He works hard for 6 months there. He, improves as a defender, goes out to Birmingham, spends another year at Birmingham, learning his trade in the Championship and improving as a player. And today he finally gets his opportunity in the Premier League. Is he a Premier League defender? Probably not. Probably going to go back down with Sheffield, but he's getting exposure at a high level. I mean, how many of us a year ago, if we told him this guy would start in a Premier League game, how many of us would have believed him, right? Fulham isn't really an EPL level offense, though. What are you saying? What are you saying? They're in the top 10, or not top 10, but they're mid-table, right? They got 9th last year. They're in the mid-table this year. I think they're a fair, medium Premier League attack. I mean, okay, Fulham's offense is bad, but bad compared to what? Definitely better than anything he ever faced in the championship. Certainly better than anything he ever faced in MLS. All right. Alejandro Zendejas, the only non-European based player, made it here. And the reason he made it here is because he had 1 goal and 1 assist this week in 2 different games. Against Mazatlan, he got 1 assist, had 3 chances created, 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, 2 out of 9 grounds. He's not great with those. 0 out of 1 aerial duel, but drew 3 fouls. And against Pachuca, where he scored one of the goals to help them win, he got 3 out of 3 successful dribbles, 1 chance created, 6 out of 11 ground duels, 0 aerial duels, and drew 2 fouls. So yes, it is Liga MX, but 2 goal contributions anywhere you are, probably going to, I mean, not USL, but 2 goal contributions will probably get you in the top 10, depending on what else has happened. On another week, I mean, there was a lot of competition, but I thought he deserved it. This was the assist against Mazatlan. All right, he ran into the right-hand channel there, and then he cut the ball back for the teammate to score from the edge of the box. And then this was the goal that he scored against Pachuca. It was in a quick transition 3v3. They dished to him on the right, and under some pressure, he was still able to pick out the far corner. So good for him. Now look, this guy needs to prove a lot more to me before he's ready for another, worthy of another USMNT call-up. He had a terrible, terrible, terrible Gold Cup, right? And to be honest, he needs to be putting in games he needs to be contributing a goal or an assist or being a standout player every single game in Liga MX if he wants to be involved with the senior team, because who's he up against, right? He's competing with Brendan Aronson, Kevin Paredes, and Taylor Booth for those spots behind Tim Weah and Christian Pulisic. So for me, he's showing more consistency this year than I think he ever has, but he still has ways to go to earn another look. And that look should probably be in January camp. Luca de la Torre continues to improve. Today got an assist against Getafe. 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, 10 passes into the final third, 2 out of 2 ground duels won, and 2 out of 3 aerial duels won. The assist was pretty straightforward. They ended up drawing that game 2-2. This was the opening goal. Gets down the left and manages to cut the cross in for his teammate to score. Good for him. Number 5, Yunus Musah, played 90 minutes against Genoa. 1 assist for friend Pulisic, 1 chance created, 4 fouls drawn, which was a match high, 3 out of 3 successful dribbles, 6 out of 10 ground duels won, and no aerial duels won. But good for Musah. Probably his best game in a Milan shirt. Maybe his best club game ever, to be honest. Although he had 1 or 2 good games for Valencia that was better than this, but this was a tough game. This was the cross to Christian Pulisic that, wasn't like Pulisic could just head that in. He had to bring it down and turn and all of that. And we'll talk about Pulisic, but good on Musah. He's what he's showing us at Milan now more consistently, and hopefully it continues, fingers crossed, is that desire, that hunger. He seems to have lost a lot of the passivity that we saw from him in Valencia. And he's definitely improving as a player at Milan, and he's getting opportunities to show what he can do. And so far, he's taken them. So good for him. Folarin Balogun, the British American, right? Unlike Noel Buck, chose the Stars and Stripes. Played 82 minutes, scored a nice goal. Had 1 out of 2 successful dribbles. Didn't win any of his ground duels. Let's pay attention, Greg Berhalter, to what he does well and what he doesn't. All right. And 0 out of 2 aerial duels. Stop crossing and forcing him to play as a false 9. This was a nice goal from Balogun. Probably not his best game in a Monaco shirt, but that takes him to 3 goals, 1 assist for them this season. It was probably a little close to the keeper, but it was hit with such force and such power that the keeper could do nothing about it. I will say it's one of the things I love about Balogun is he's able to turn or to create just a half yard. He doesn't need much space to get a shot off. He's very good at creating just a little half yard of space here and there and then whacking the ball into the net from there. So it's really, really good to see that he's, playing so well for Monaco already. The guy has 1 goal or assist, 1 goal contribution about every 60 minutes that he's on the field. So that says a lot, right? Number 3, Malik Tillman is absolutely on fire. He took the starting spot at PSV from, what's his name? Saibari, and has been well worthy of it. Goal and assist last weekend. Then he comes against Sevilla midweek and earns a penalty to help them get that equalizer, that 1 point in the Champions League, right? Then starts today. I don't know why it says Sevilla twice. Not great, Pete. He starts today against Sparta Rotterdam, and he gets one goal, another goal. He scores the opening goal in a very tight game. And then after that, the dam broke. But up until about the 53rd minute, it was pretty tight there between Sparta and PSV. Noah Lang had to come off for Chucky, and credit to Chucky, he actually contributed to this goal. Excuse me. 1 second. Hang tight. I'm going to get a Halls, and I will be right back so my throat can survive this ordeal. All right, we're back. Sorry for that. So yeah, smoking the devil, this won't do that to you. Yeah, so will COVID, apparently. So yeah, good for Malik. And if he keeps this up, he'll probably keep his starting spot, right? How many goal contributions is that now? Because he had one earlier in the season. So he's got 2 goals, 3 goals. He's got 3 goals now. 3 goals, 1 assist, and 1 penalty won, right? And they're top of the table. That's the other thing that's so crazy about our guys this year is they're all fighting for titles. CCV's fighting for a title, right? Reyna's fighting for a title. Pulisic, Musah, Weah, and McKennie are all fighting for titles. Balogun's fighting for a title. McKenzie probably not going to fight for a title. But those 8 alone. Oh, and then the 3 PSV boys, right? Dest, Malik, and Pepe. That's 11 guys right there who are probably fighting for a major title in Europe. So, technically Royal Antwerp might be fighting for that Belgian title too. So there's Sam Vines. That's another one. But yeah, so good on Malik. This was the goal that he scored today. Very calm. Took the ball from De Jong, 2v2. Couldn't hit it first time because his angle was blocked. So it was very calm. Didn't try to, snatch at it. Took it inside, created a little bit of a half space angle for himself, and then whack, into the back of the net it goes. This was the penalty. That Malik Tillman won against Sevilla. Sergio Ramos took him out. You could argue this was a soft penalty, right? You could argue this was a soft penalty. He might have started going down before he got clipped by Ramos, and I think he actually took a bit of a heavy touch there. But reality is, Sergio Ramos, because of course, who else, comes in hard, comes in aggressive, makes the tackle, trips him, and it ends up being 2-2. So thank you, Sergio, for being you, because it's helping us a lot these days. All right, number 2, Christian Pulisic. 4 goals and 1 assist now for Milan in just 8 games. He played, why is that blank? He played 45 minutes, came on in the second half. He didn't actually start this game. They were resting him, Leao, and Giroud. Comes on, scores the only goal, taking the cross off Musah, bringing it down, turning and firing home. This was him firing home with his weak foot under some pressure. It was beautiful watching him spin Johan Vasquez, the only other CONCACAF player in the game, who's actually usually a pretty solid defender. But he, the look on his face of him just like watching Pulisic score just felt like that was a metaphor, right? For, Mexico and the US right now. Like, can you imagine being Mexican, a Mexico fan, and just watching these weekends go by? And I think we have something like 32 goal contributions in top 6 leagues and it's only 2 months into the season, and Americans already have 32 goal contributions. Like, that's wild when you think about it, guys. That is wild when you think about it. Now, on this Pulisic goal, there was, of course, some controversy, as the Brits say. Did the ball touch his hand? Was it a handball in the buildup? You tell me. From my perspective, I think it hit his bicep. I think it hit his bicep and sort of rolled onto his chest. Technically, it's probably a handball. But there have been plenty of times where Pulisic didn't get a call that he should have gotten. Sometimes it goes the other way and you get lucky for it. So there you go. Some people say it wasn't a handball. Some people say it didn't touch his bicep and it only touched his shoulder. The fact of the matter is it's tight enough that I don't think it's the end of the world even if it was a handball. Right? And there's Vasquez falling on the ground at his feet, but he did have enough time as Pulisic turned with the ball and volleyed into the net. He did have enough time to get a front row seat to an American scoring a goal to take Milan to the top of the table that was also assisted by an American. And guys, we were this close. We were this close to seeing Pulisic in goal because he wanted to go in goal and Giroud told him he was too small, which is correct. We would not have won. I don't think Pulisic would have come off his line and made the save that Giroud made in the dying moments to keep Milan in it. That's my personal opinion. The rule is below the armpit. Well, that's what I mean. If it hit his bicep, then technically it would be a handball. Yes. Ken P, the good point. Spinning away probably helped. Yes, it did. Last but not least, number one for the first time in his career in the USMNT top 10, for the first time in USMNT history, is none other than Joseph Scally. All right? Hasn't had a great start to the season. In fact, he's been benched. He's been having, he had some family issues. That's why he left USMNT camp. He hasn't been the guy that we saw last season. He's struggled, and that is okay. It doesn't really bother me too much because he's 20 years old. 20-year-olds are going, he's been a starter pretty much for Gladbach since he was barely 18. So for him, it's not that I'm okay with the struggles because I know there's ups and downs. How you respond to those struggles is what's important. And boy, did he respond today. Comes on for the last 11 minutes of the game. Gladbach was losing this game 2-1 to... No, they didn't play Gladbach. Sorry about that. They were losing this game 2-1. He comes on. This was not an easy goal. He takes it down, beats his man, and then absolutely destroys the goal. Beautiful curling shot, screamer into the top corner, right? There is a quote, Dylan Thomas, if anybody knows him, he was a Welsh poet, and he wrote a poem called Do Not Go Quietly Into the Night. And the last two lines of that poem are, do not go quietly into the night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And that was Joseph Scally with this performance. Coming on, yes, I've been benched. Yes, it hasn't been going well. I am not going to fade away. I'm going to show up on the pitch, and I'm going to give the coach something to think about, right? This Golazo from Scally was him raging against the dying of the light. And I absolutely love that mentality from our guys. I just have to know, are you on weed or alcohol or something else? I am on nothing but coffee and Halls. Why? Do I seem drunk or high? If so, I'm definitely drunk with happiness after this weekend because this weekend was magnificent. All right. So that is that, guys. It's just the things you are saying. You made too many little microaggressions, and I just have to wonder. By the way, I'm a little behind live feed. What on earth is a microaggression? A microaggression? I've never heard that before. That is some wild shit. USA Soccer on the rise, says Yama YT. Yes, it is. Didn't Alfredo Morales play for Mainz? Did he play for Mainz? I think he played for Ingolstadt, from what I remember. I think it was Ingolstadt. Yeah. Pete's thoughts on Arsenal City today? Yeah, I loved it. I love watching City lose. I love watching them lose. But guys, that is the top 10. Let's go to the Discord now. Okay, we'll go to the Discord. I'll try to get some people in here. Pete, chill the microaggressions, dude. Face green smiling. What? I'm so lost. I'm so lost. Oh, yeah. And here's the other thing. Before we go to the Discord, guys, look at all the guys that didn't make the top 10 that played well, right? Tim Ream had a pretty solid game for Fulham. Okay. Chris Richards came on for Crystal Palace and played quite well. Matt Turner kept a clean sheet for Nottingham Forest. John Brooks played quite well. Gio comes on, plays 30 minutes for the first time in 5 months, and is involved in the fourth goal and played quite well too. McKennie and Weah both played quite well for Juve. Dest played quite well for PSV Eindhoven, right? Miles Robinson scored a header to get an equalizer for Atlanta United. Aiden Morris got an assist. Like, that's 10 guys right there who on another day might have made the top 10, but just weren't good enough, right? Okay. I guess because you said imagine being Mexico. I said imagine being a Mexico fan. Chill. You guys, come on. You know what I'm saying. All right. Let me hop over to the Discord here and see if I can drag people in. So far, we have only one person in the waiting room. So, guys, if you're in the Discord, and maybe President Chip can help here, you have to go to the call show waiting room if you're in the Discord, because I know where there are a lot of people in the public chat, but you got to go into the waiting room. So Vince was here first. Let's drag him in. Vince, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
All right, so I got more of a question than a discussion point. If we were to play with a back three, would you go with a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2?
Oh, it's a good question. I'd probably go 3-5-2, just because I would love to see like Gio right behind Ballo, you know? Yeah, I also think with a 3-4-3, I would be concerned about losing that midfield battle with only two central midfielders, right? So I'd probably go 3-5-2. We have three center backs easily who could play that. You could go CCV, Richards, and Ream across that back three, or Auston Trusty could get in there. Then your midfield is easily, Adams, McKennie. No, either Musah or Adams at the 6, and then McKennie at the 8, Pulisic at the 10, and then Gio as a withdrawn forward right behind Ballo. I mean, for me, that would be huge. You'd have to bench Weah as a result, but I would prefer a 3-5-2, right?
Okay.
What would you do?
Yep. Well, personally, I go for 3-5-2, but my only concern is how would we like fit in Jedi and like Dest and all of them within our
Jedi
usual
and
fullbacks
Dest
and like
wing backs in the 3-5-2.
Yeah, but my only concern with that is I really don't like the idea of benching Weah because he had so much like more to the attack, even though he's like kind of one-dimensional in a sense. But he's definitely like someone that I wouldn't bench for that. I'd instead like put Weah as a right wing back.
So you would bench Dest or you would bench A-Rob?
I would probably push Dest to the left and then bench A-Rob.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is we have a lot of guys that can play multiple positions, right? So it does help if we want to play a different formation. But I mean, I think we all agree 4-2-3-1 is probably our best formation right now with this personnel. The thing is, Greg keeps talking about a back three, but we haven't seen him play it yet. I wonder if we're going to see it in this camp.
Well, we know Greg is a silly little guy who can do lots of abhorrent things. So that kind of scares me when he says a 3-5-2 or like a 3-back.
Yeah. No, I mean, we don't know what that's going to look like, right? It might be some stupid thing where like Adams is a false forward, and then Gio becomes a fullback in this system that he cooked up in his brain and on PowerPoint. Like, who knows, right? Whatever he tries,
who knows?
It'll be interesting to see which way he goes, 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1 could also work because it almost gives you 4 in midfield. But let's see what he does. This is awesome. Can you guys hear okay?
Yeah. Excited for this camp too, since we're finally playing opponents that aren't little islands smaller than the population of New York.
Oh, I know. It's going to be fun. I might not be able to actually watch the Germany game, which I'm really pissed about because I might be on set, but I definitely will be there for the Ghana game.
All right. Well, my only I have one last question. What kind of brand of coffee do you drink, since it's very powerful?
The coffee? Oh, Folgers.
All right. Well, thank you for having me up. Your channel's great, Pete.
Is your name actually Vince, or is that just your screen name?
Oh, no, it's my actual name.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming, Vince. You're officially the first ever live call-in guy on an 11 Yanks show. So that's kind of a cool record.
Well, I'll hold that title to my heart. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, man. Have a good one, okay?
Yep. You too.
All right, Rare Sly, you're on the air. It's quite the name.
Hold on.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. What's up?
Hey, I was just wondering, what you think about Gio Reyna maybe getting a loan in the winter window?
Yeah. You know, yes. A lot depends on how much playing time he gets between now and then, because up until this last weekend, I was like, fuck Dortmund, fuck Terzic, Gio's got to go. Let's get him out of there somewhere where he can play. And I was like, if Gio doesn't play this weekend, then I'm done with Dortmund. Like I'm actively rooting against them until Gio can get out of there. And then he comes on for a full 30 minutes when they were only 1 goal up, which I didn't expect. So for me, it very much depends. We're in the first, second week of October now. What happens between now and January? If he's a regular off the bench and maybe even get some starts, then fine. But if they're not only going to use him intermittently, like every other game he gets 20 minutes, then screw it, dude. Like he already proved last year that a healthy Gio Reyna is one of their best attacking players and certainly one of their most effective in terms of goals and assists. So if they're still not willing to, to recognize that and give him the minutes that he deserves, then yeah, I think he should go. What do you think?
I think he should definitely go for on a loan. I think that players like Voice.
Hey, I can't really hear you. You're moving around a bit. Is it possible to try to stay as still as possible and get as close to the mic as possible?
Oh, I'm not worried. Can you hear me now?
It's still a little bit glitchy.
Glitchy?
Yeah, but go ahead. I'll try to listen.
Yeah, my issue has been with Terzic and his him picking over other players over him. Obviously, they have very talented players. But yeah, I'd like him to move to either a lower state team in the Bundesliga or somewhere in the area they usually for the last 6 months of the season.
Can you guys hear what he's saying? I'm sorry, man. I can't. You're very muffled. I don't know why. Are you on speakerphone? It's just very hard to hear you.
I took out my headphones. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, what I was saying is my issue has been with Terzic and his selections, obviously during the game, and his want to put Brandt and Royce and all these other players ahead of him, which are obviously very talented players. I would just like him to get a move to the Red Division, where he could get more playing time, or just for a lower league in general, or the lower placed team in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I think Bundesliga is fine. Like, I don't think he needs to bump down a level. Like, to be honest, I think Gio could still go play for another Champions League team. Like, he doesn't need to move down to the Eredivisie. I think he just needs to move to a team that wants to give him minutes, and it could be even not Leipzig because they have a different style, but I think he could easily go to a top 4 team anywhere in Italy, France, or Germany and still be very good for them. But let's see what happens. With Gio, how many minutes he gets between now and January will be quite telling. And then I guess come December, we'll probably all be on the same page about whether or not he needs to leave, depending on minutes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for hopping on. What was your name?
Thank you. I'm Kenny.
I didn't catch that.
Kenny.
Eddie. Awesome, Eddie. Well, thanks for hopping on, man.
Have a good one.
All right. See you soon. John, you're on the air. Hello? Did we lose John? He went back to the waiting room. Let's bring him back. Hey, John, you still with us? Well, Can't seem to stick. Let's try Michael. Hey, Michael, how you doing? Hello? Michael, you on mute or something?
Can you hear me?
Ah, there we go. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm okay. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. My question to you is, do you think that the Eredivisie, I think I said it right, I don't know, but do you think probably that is Dest level, or do you think this is just like a transitional like period for him, to just get minutes and get back into form for when he goes back to Barcelona, or if he gets a transfer somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. I don't think we know. Like, we saw what happened at Barcelona. We saw what happened at Milan. And to be fair, even against Champions League teams, he's had still some defensive struggles, right? Is Eredivisie his level, or is a top team in a top 5 league maybe a step too high, but maybe a mid-table team in Germany might still be his level? You know what I mean? Like, maybe he could play, I don't know, for Augsburg, maybe not them, but, a Stuttgart or something like that. Maybe he just needed to not go to a top 4 team. And there's probably also questions, and you tell me what you think. Is he really a fullback at this point? Like,
I see Dest more as I see him more as a wing back, because for me personally, when he's going forward, he's always looking dangerous. I think even for the national team and even just club level, he's really good with linking up plays with Pulisic or whatever side he's playing on, and also linking up in the midfield. And I think actually, I'm not 100%, I don't really remember that well, but I think a couple of our goals in the national team came from him linking up with people in the midfield and then bombing up the side of the field to make a really nice cross or, lay it off to somebody to score. Yeah, that's what I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably could be more of a winger this time. The problem is that he's not actually that effective as a winger. Like, he's skillful, he's technical, he looks dangerous, but how many goals, assists does he have? When he gets into that final third, his decision-making needs to be better if he wants to be an actual winger.
Yeah.
So you might be right. He might, be halfway between a fullback and a winger as a wingback. So, yeah, I mean, you might be right. That might be really the best spot for him. But it's true. I mean, I've always said with Dest, I feel like his problems are less like he can't do it and more he won't do it. Like, I think the defending is him switching off half the time, right? Like, it's not that he can't defend. We've seen him defend very well. Do you remember in the World Cup against England? He was really good. Same against, Iran, and same against Wales, and even against Canada. I don't know if you guys remember that game in Hamilton away. He was our best player on the field, right? So he locked up Tajon Buchanan really well. So it's like, we know he can do it. It feels like he doesn't want to do it, and that's been more the cause of his struggles than a lack of actual ability.
That's true. I have one more question.
Yeah,
if that's okay.
Go for it.
How high of a ceiling do you think Malik Tillman has?
Ooh, tough one. You guys are putting me on the spot here. How high? I don't think he's got Gio level talent, but I don't think he's that far behind. Like, I think his decision making, specifically in the final third, needs to improve. I think his recognition of space and danger needs to improve. So I think those are, I think he just needs to be more aggressive with his off-ball movement. But technically, I think he has I think he can be a top 5, a solid winger in a top 5, or attacking midfielder in a top 5 league that could get 10 and 10 every year, right? Like, maybe not a Champions League level 10 in a top 5 league. Like, if he wants to play Champions League, I think PSV might be more his level. But he's also 21, 22, right? So we don't really know what he could look like in 5 years, which is when his prime will start,
Exactly.
It's hard to say.
All right. Yeah, for me, I feel like Tillman I do think he's better than Aronson, even though I love Aronson. He's one of my favorite players because I just like his work rate. But I do think that he is a good depth piece for, let's say, Gio's injured or one of our other 10s that might come up through the ranks, from the youth. I think he might be second behind Gio.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think now he's behind Gio, but there's nobody else. Especially now that what he's doing for PSV, he's showing his worth, and he's showing more consistency than what we saw at Rangers too. And we all know how PSV is with developing, technical players, right?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Pete, for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thanks for coming. This is fun. I'm really loving this.
Yep. Yeah, same. Have a good one, man.
Awesome. Have a good one. All right, let's try John one more time. John, let's hope this works. All right, can you stay in? Damn it. All right, guys, if you want to get in the chat, I know there's a lot of you in the general chat. I can't put you in. If you look at the screen here, you have to go to the call show waiting room. If you go to the call show waiting room, then I can bring you in. Hey, President Chip, do you have a question?
I just wanted to bring a few things up.
Yeah, let's do it.
If that's okay with you.
Yeah, no problem.
All
By the way, thanks for setting this up, man.
First, yeah, no problem. Yeah. I really enjoyed doing it. But really my main thing is this. Who is besides Brendan Aronson, because I think for all of us, he's been really the biggest disappointment for us in this season. Who's underperformed the most in your opinion?
This season, you mean, or in general?
In Europe. This season, yeah.
It has to be Brendan, right?
Yeah, but anybody else besides Brendan?
Underperformed or having a disappointing season?
Disappointing season.
I guess Horvath is disappointing, but not too disappointing because we knew once they brought Vlachodimos in that he wouldn't play at all because he's not even the number 2. Yeah. So I guess that's kind of disappointing. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Feel free to hop in the chat, guys. If anybody, who do you think's having a disappointing season? Mihailovic is probably a good shout, Rogelio. Yeah, Mihailovic is probably a good shout. He's not getting starting minutes in the Eredivisie. And at his age, 25 years old, and after the Gold Cup that he had, and he really has failed to earn a starting spot in a mid-table Dutch club, that's probably not great. So, yeah, probably, I guess Georgie's a good shout. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. I would love to have Chris Richards get more minutes, but he's getting more minutes than I thought he would, considering they didn't sell either Anderson or Gahey, so that's not the end of the world. I don't think there's anybody that you look at and you're like, oof, what a disappointment. Is there? Stefan, I guess, but he's injured again. I mean, we knew when he went back to Man City, nothing was going to happen.
Yeah. Because it pains me, man, because I was in the chats, I said it on my channel, I said it everywhere. Mihailovic was my guy. He was one of my favorite U.S. national team players.
Oh, really?
And when I heard he was going to move from Montreal to, even though I'm not a Montreal fan, but he was going to move from Montreal to AZ Alkmaar, I was excited for him. I was glad he was finally getting that move to Europe, but then he hasn't shown up, and of course he got the Gold Cup. Super disappointing in the Gold Cup, man. I was expecting much more from him. But yeah, I agree with that one. In terms of disappointing season, or I guess seasons, it'd be Mihailovic. What do you think is the next step for him? If he can't get it together, do you think he just returns to MLS?
Yeah, it's not like he's playing at such a high level that he can just drop down a level. I mean, if he drops down a level, what are we talking about? The Austrian League? The Championship, maybe? I don't know if he's really suited for the Championship. That's the only problem, And he's not, again, he's not really young. He's 25, 26. So I'm trying to think.
He's
can't
mid-20s,
quite cut it in the Eredivisie. I guess the Belgian league, but is that really much better than being in MLS? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be because I could be a situation with Sands where he just goes back to MLS. It didn't work out in Europe, so he just returns.
Yeah, I mean he should be a D10 in MLS. No.
Yeah. Now, which MLS team I don't know because I think Montreal needs him back. Chicago. I will be honest.
Chicago. Fire. He's from there. He's a homegrown Fire kid, right? We weren't using him well. We sold him over to Montreal, and then he blew up over there, and then got his move. If he's going to come back to MLS,
Yeah.
let's make him a DP. Fucking get rid of $8.7 million a year. What's his face? Shaqiri, who's done nothing except
Shaqiri?
run around the field slowly. Like, it's a disaster.
Yeah. That Shaqiri is a waste of a DP spot, man.
Not just that, he was the highest paid player in the league before Insigne got there. He was at $8.7 million a year, and the dude is
That was ridiculous.
overweight and slow.
He doesn't get paid more than Almada does? No, Almada gets paid more.
I think he was paid more than Almada last year. I don't know about this season, but last season when they released the salaries, he was the highest paid.
Jesus. I don't know what the purpose is. No wonder why Chicago is. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Do you think that this? I wasn't planning on this question, but do you think they make the playoff decision day?
No, they have to go to New York and win, where they've never won, and they need 2 other results to go their way. Like, they don't look like they have the mental capacity to do anything. The whole team looks frozen with fear. They can only beat the awful teams like Toronto and Inter Miami without Messi. Like,
Inter Miami without Messi, yeah.
Yeah, like, other than that, they're just a disaster across the board. They have too many scrubs. Their DPs aren't firing. They're relying way too heavily on kids like Brady and Guti to dig them out of tough spots. They're just a fucking disaster, and they have been for more than 10 years,
Yeah. They're just trying to treat and have Shaqiri be like a Messi. Like, Shaqiri's not a Messi. He's not going to be a one-man show.
No.
So,
if you want a Messi type,
who's
the DP I would love in Chicago is Lewandowski. There are more polls. Do you know that Chicago, I might be wrong about this, but I heard somewhere that Chicago is the city in the world with the second most polls of any other city. So Warsaw is number 1, and then ahead of all the other Polish cities is Chicago. So I feel like Lewandowski, when he's done with Barcelona and Chicago, would be the move.
Yeah, if you can get Lewandowski, you can get this doesn't match at all, but if you could get if you can get Muller to reunite, if you get Chicago, if some financial things, if MLS changes the rules a bit, get Muller, get Lewandowski to Chicago. Make them back up like the Bayern.
That'd be great. Then Chicago might win the World Cup.
Yeah. Hey, FIFA might let them qualify if they pay enough money.
Exactly. Everybody.
And this is my last
question. 2034, it will be Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Chicago. They'll be like, that's 2034.
They'll have individual clubs. They'll have clubs qualify. Yeah, and the nation in which those clubs take place in qualify as well.
Exactly.
But yeah, that kind of leads to my last question. Actually, what was your immediate reaction? I guess thoughts overall on this 2030 decision.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah,
there is no reason. I mean, either put it in South America and distribute it out between a few countries that are bordering each other, which is fine. Or Spain, Morocco, Portugal. I have no problem with divvying it out between a few countries that border each other to handle the increased, influx of fans with an expanded World Cup. But the only reason they're doing this, we all know, is so they can kill off 3 continents in one move, Africa, Europe, and South America, so that come 2034, they're like, guess it's time to bring it back to Asia. And then they can give it to Saudi for whatever Saudi bribed them for.
Yeah, and they're just playing the game where they want to make everybody happy. That's what FIFA's doing.
I don't even think they're trying to make everybody happy. I think they're trying to make whoever pays them the most money happy.
Yeah, pay them. Yeah, but it just, and I think personally, this might not be that big for maybe others, but it takes away the feeling, because it isn't the purpose of a World Cup to be able to also celebrate the host country or countries, if there's 2 or 3 now this year, or 2026, not this year. To have, the culture be celebrated, and that host nation takes advantage of the World Cup being there. It just takes away that feeling, because now there's 6?
6 is nuts. And what's worst is it's only one game in I think it's Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay, right? Those are the 3 nations.
Yeah.
So now we might be in a place where we're playing one game in Paraguay, and then 3 days later we have a game in Barcelona versus Germany. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Imagine Pete. Imagine this. Would be a terrible scenario. But imagine in 2030, the U.S. gets put in a group with, let's say, England, Paraguay, and Ghana.
Okay.
Let's say that happens, right? And imagine we have to play our first game in Paraguay, fly all the way to Spain to play Germany, and then we have to fly to Morocco to play Ghana.
Well, the Spain to Morocco is about an hour flight, so that itself is not.
Yeah, that one's not bad.
Like you're gonna have more flights around the U.S. than Mexico and Canada.
Yeah,
they're gonna be longer. But yeah,
but the travel fatigue is gonna be insane for that first one for those teams.
Yeah,
and my concern is, will they give them enough time to rest? Like, is an extra day going to be given? I doubt it. Knowing FIFA, they won't.
Doubtful. No, they don't do what's best for the players or the fans or the game or anything. It's all about the dollar bills.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have. I see there's more people in there. So yeah, I'll just be in the clear room. But thanks for having me on, man.
Awesome, man. No, thanks for helping to set this up. Everyone, round of applause for. Do you want me to tell them your real name, or do you prefer to keep that anonymous?
The President Chip is fine.
All right, President Chip. Big round of applause for President Chip. Thanks, man.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
All right. Ant 9114. Let me drag you in here. Hang on. Let me try that again. Ant 9114, you're on the air. What's up, buddy?
What's up? Can you hear me? Can you hear me good?
I can hear you good.
All right, cool. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. What's up?
So my first question was, given Greg Berhalter's name check of John Brooks, do you think there's a slight chance that he could ever be back in the U.S. national team?
I'd refer you to the multiple times in the last cycle where he was asked about John Brooks, and this was his response. Yeah, John Brooks is a guy that we love, and we think he can still be a contributor. And, it's right now, it's just about making sure that Aaron Long gets as many hugs as he can get, in camp. But we're probably going to use John in the next camp. That's more of a camp for him. And the next camp would come along and there'd be some other bullshit excuse. Like, how many times do we have to hear Greg utter shit for us to take anything he says too seriously?
True.
You know what I mean? Like, I wish I was wrong. I hope you're right. But everything we know about Greg is that he's full of shit. So it's hard to take anything he says too seriously,
Yeah. I was slightly hopeful when I heard it, because I'm like, at least he's mentioning the dude, because I thought it was completely over, at least for a while now. But just given the fact that he said it, I was wondering, all right, well, maybe there's some percentage of a chance, but it's nothing that I was getting my hopes up over.
Yeah, I hear you.
But crossing my fingers though. And then my second question was about Balogun, because I'm a big Balogun fan, because my dad's Nigerian, so seeing a Nigerian American on the team's really cool.
Yeah.
Apart from DK, and at the time in which DK was playing, that was my guy. But then, I could even admit that after a couple of caps, I realized, that's just not going to work out. So to see Balogun on the team is really cool.
Yeah.
Now, I guess it's also related to Berhalter, because obviously we saw in their first camp together Balogun's frustrations, especially in the second game against Oman. Do you think with Gio Reyna being back in the team, and assuming that Gio Reyna is going to be that starter in the midfield, do you think that will help in regards to Balogun's play style? Or do you think that just because you think that Berhalter being Berhalter will still find some way to kind of make the patterns of play not work to his favor as a striker?
Yeah, so I think that Gio and Balogun are chalk and cheese. The way that they both play suits each other perfectly. What does Gio want to do? when he gets on that ball. He wants to either shoot from distance or dribble into space and slide those through balls in behind, right? And that's what he's so good at. What does Balogun want to do? He wants to hang on the shoulder of that last man, that back line, and make those darting runs in behind. I mean, we already saw this in the Nations League, right? That assist from Gio to Balogun, and their styles complement each other perfectly. The problem is Greg wants Gio to play wide, right? So that's a big issue. Mm-hmm. And he wants Balogun to play as a false 9 / wait in the box for crosses. So, that's.
I think. Yeah, I get that. I think it also kind of depends on like what happens. I know rarely do you have like all your players fit for these international breaks and stuff.
Sure.
But I feel like when Tyler Adams comes back into the team, I think that's when we will really see, how does he plan on using Gio? Because me personally, I like the Reyna, McKennie, Adams midfield as opposed to Musah thrown in there for either Adams or McKennie, because I feel like it's a lot more balanced. Like you've and Tack have mentioned before, I think against smaller teams, against nations that will have more possession, than having Musah as a 6 or in the double pivot is fine. But I think if we're like looking at our ambitions of trying to crack into possibly a top 10 team in the world, or like make a quarterfinals of a World Cup, or even the semis of a Copa, I feel like having that balance is going to be really necessary. So I think that with I feel like it depends on what Berhalter does with that, because I'm not sure if he's going to be that I don't think he's going to be that forward thinking and play with a natural 10 and then a box to box in Weston and then just one defensive sort of minded midfielder.
Yeah, like a lot of people want Musah to start at the 6. I'm personally more of an opinion that that's fine when we're not playing a top 20 nation in the world. If we're playing a top 20 nation in the world, I want Adams, because defensively he's going to do a lot of the work to protect that back line. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I like that Adams, McKennie, Gio thing. Unless it's a team where we're going to have most of the ball, then yeah, Musah's the guy, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. We'll see what Greg does. Like, he said he's going to try Gio in this camp in 2 different positions. My guess is one of them is going to be as an 8, a withdrawn midfielder, the same way that he used Tillman in the last camp. Yeah. And the other one is going to be on the wing. That's my guess. So, but we'll have to wait and see what he actually does.
That's fair. That's probably the safest bet. But who knows? Maybe we'll be surprised. You never know.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. But thank you. I appreciate it. Big fan, by the way, of you and Tack. Started watching right around that First Nations League tournament, and been watching ever since. So
awesome. What's your name?
Really appreciate it. Anthony, but
okay, Anthony. Kind of just awesome, man. Well, thanks for hopping on.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Anthony. We got one more, or I'll try to do as many more as my voice lasts for. Okay. Number 10. What's up? Looks like you're muted.
Hey, is it my turn?
It's your turn. And go ahead and go to the waiting room, or go to another room.
Hey, what's up, Pete? How you doing?
What's up? What's your name, man?
My name, you can call me Saul.
Tom. What's up, Tom?
No, Saw. Yeah.
Like Saw the movie? Like a saw? Like Saw wood?
Like King Saul from the Bible.
Oh, Saul. Sorry, my bad. Yeah. What's up, Saul?
Hey, what's up, Pete? I don't really have a question for you, but I just want to say that, I love your content.
Oh,
and
thanks,
every time you do live streams, you inspire me to make my own channel and talk about soccer.
Well, have you done it yet? You have a channel?
I have a channel, but I just got a new setup, so I think I'm gonna start making content.
Okay.
Because just like our small community. You know, I want to help it grow,
Yeah.
and I just want to say everything you do is like it's really nice, and I like it.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. What's the name of your channel? Maybe people in the chat can go give you a subscribe.
My channel is Chicago Toke Sports.
Chicago Toke Sports. Hey, are you from Chicago?
Yeah, born and raised.
Awesome. Which part of Chicago?
I grew up in Belmont Cragen area.
Okay.
Probably like 10 or 15 minutes away from Logan Square, where you stayed at for a while.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah.
So are you a Fire fan?
I'm a Fire fan. But you know, it's like a toxic relationship, you know.
Yes.
So, you know, we go back and forth, you know.
Yep. I know the feeling. I was just at a Fire game like last month or the month before. I think it was in August. It was the Toronto game. And I was like, oh, 1-0 win against the worst team in the world. And that little spark of excitement was there again. You know, it's like, oh, yeah, Guti had a good game. We could maybe sneak into the playoff. And then, you know, you just get disappointed over and over and over again. So.
Yeah, I know. Are you going to catch any Chicago games later?
I mean, I watched the one last night, yelling at the television and wanting to fire, you know, George Heights myself and yell at Joe Mancini.
We're still in playoff contention, right?
Yeah, you'd have to beat New York City away, and then 2 other results have to go our way. So I think it's unlikely. We've never beat New York City away from home, just for the record. I'd say 10% chance. 10%.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm gonna just keep it short.
Yeah, no worries.
So that's all I wanted to say. Also, I believe we're gonna beat Ghana and Germany as well.
Love it. I hope so.
So yeah, take care, man.
Awesome, man. You have a good one, Saul. And yeah, Chicago Toke Sports. If anybody wants to go give them a follow, support the community, guys. All right. Next up, Brazilian Fury. I swear to God, if this is tack. Brazilian Fury, what's up?
No, believe it or not, it's a different person. But yes, I know of TAC and started following the channel mainly because of you guys sort of live streaming together. But hello, Pete. Good to see you.
You too, man. What's your name?
Chris on the other side of the spectrum, but either Chris or Fury, either one of those work on that end of the spectrum. I guess my general question was more so as a casual follower of the MLS side of the spectrum, and obviously USMNT stuff as well too. If you had to make, I guess we'll put you on the hot seat for this one since you guys follow that stuff. If you had to make one specific rule change to the MLS within the next 2 to 3 years, you know, no carte blanches or anything or votes against you and stuff, you could just make one particular rule change like right now to make the league better, what would it be?
Promotion relegation. Does that count, or is that too carte blanche?
No, I'd say it's interesting. It's definitely one in which the owners would veto right off the bat. But yeah, if you just have sole power to make it yourself, I'd say that's fairly acceptable as a whole.
Yeah, that would be my number one. If I can't do promotion relegation, my other one would be get rid of the salary cap. Or okay, not get rid of it, but bring it up to 25 million a year. And then you can spend that 25 million however you want. Like no rules. Like if you want to still do 3 DPs for 17 million and then the other 8 million on your roster, fine. If you think that's the best way to operate, great. But most intelligent front offices will not do that and will have distributed quality throughout the field. You know, some teams will probably still get 1 DP if they can get a big name. You know, I mean, like Antoine Griezmann or something, then yeah, and that's fine. You give him 8-9 million and then you still have 16-17 million. But like, oh, Jaden the Man says Brazilian Fury made the Lalas video. That was you. That was great.
Yes,
work.
That's me. Hello. Work. Thank you.
Fantastic.
It was an idea that was in the works for a little while in between all of the Football Manager videos that I make. And yeah, it just needed to be done, especially given his resume. Let's just put it in quotations, if you will, on that. But it was a fun video to do. It got a good amount of traffic in the channel, and I'm very thankful for sort of the community in general for rallying behind that over on Twitter over the last 2 weeks for that. So,
So is
it's much
Brazilian
appreciated.
Fury the name of your channel?
Yes. You just space out the Brazilian and Fury part that you see on the Discord end there. But yep, that's where you'll find me.
Yeah. So if you guys want, go give him a follow. He did a great half-an-hour video
Yeah.
on basically the epic failure that Lalas has been for most of his life.
Yeah. My channel at the moment is kind of a mixture of like Football Manager content and then the odd video essay every month and a half or so on that. I did one for Not Scouting and then one on NES this time during the J-League stint that he had as well. But yeah, and then the Lalas video being the most recent of the bunch. But yeah, I like the idea of just taking a lot of the sort of crazy rules that MLS has and just go, okay, flat salary cap as a whole. If you need a DP spot, there it is. But good front offices, as you said, will allocate that money accordingly to get the best talent humanly possible. And if you can get a big superstar player, you have a DP spot for that front. But yeah, no, those are fairly feasible changes, and it would be fun to see those unfold at some point or another if MLS executives can kind of get their heads together. So
yeah, I mean, I hope they use this messy, the attention that's on MLS right now because of Messi to really put a better product on the field. My big concern is that they're not going to do that. They're going to do some very small incremental change, like add a fourth DP, which is actually going in the wrong direction, or increase the salary cap by 150,000 a year, and it's going to be almost meaningless. And they're going to pat themselves on the back and say they did something. But this is why it's so hard for me to get into MLS and to take them seriously, because like they keep telling me they don't take themselves seriously and they don't want to be a serious league. So why should I invest so much in a league that keeps telling me they're not interested in being serious? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Completely understandable. It's still a new league by standards across like a worldwide perspective, but at the same time, the United States has been sort of known for getting shit done really fast if you look at its 200+ year history. So why can't its sports leagues do the exact same and innovate accordingly?
It's also not that new of a league. Like they keep saying, it's a 30-year-old league. Like the J-League, the J-League started after us.
Oh yeah.
The A-League started after us. You know what I mean? It's not that new. And again, this American mentality of like, we get shit done. We're big, we're brash, we're obnoxious, and we find a way to make things happen. But we have all these cowards peddling their version of soccer in this country, mostly using it as a tax write-off, right? And an capital gains merchants is what it is. Look at Joe Mansueto, right? When he gets the fire, San Diego pays $500-600 million for their franchise. That gets split between all the owners. So Joe doesn't have to have a good team. His team can be shit, right? The fire can be shit forever. Yeah. Joe Mansueto sits back. He gets capital gains money off of that $600 million, right? So he's probably got, easily what? 600 million, maybe 20 of that, 25, 30 of that goes to him. He pays less taxes on it because it's capital gains tax instead of an actual income tax. It's absurd how much money these guys make just from being in MLS, and they have no real interest in growing the game. And that's just an example.
Yeah, 100%. It's a lot of the expansion fees within MLS 100% feel profit driven because of the obvious profit sharing into the spectrum. And it says that when the Vegas Golden Knights owner, I think his name is Bill Foley off the top of my head, I forget, when he decides to opt against a expansion team in Vegas that he would have willingly bought if the fee was actually fair to expand, and decides to spend a tenth of what MLS quoted him on a majority stake over at Bournemouth over in England, that tells you everything that you need to know in terms of like the seriousness of the league, and that they've come a ways, but there's still so much more that they can do and so much untapped potential. And I think a lot of people's opinions here. So
agreed.
But I will leave it at that for other folks who are waiting to do questions. Thanks again for taking me on, Pete.
No problem. Thanks, man. And guys, go check out Brazilian Fury on YouTube as well. I hate to disappoint anybody who's currently in the waiting room, guys. My voice is starting to give out. I just got over COVID. So it is going to be a little bit tough to keep this going. But what we've done is a good thing. What we've done is we've established that it's doable and it works. People call in. We're getting clear quality voices. For the most part, there's been no glitches. I think we'll do this more often if it's something that you guys enjoy. So tell me in the chat, or if you're watching this video later, tell me in the comments if you enjoyed this. Like if hearing other people call in and give their thoughts and questions is interesting to you, then maybe we can even try to do this once a week. Or if I do a live stream, we do, half an hour live stream or 20-minute live stream and then 40-minute call-in show, right? Something like that, so that it's not just me here talking all the time. You guys actually get to have a voice and say what you think, because that's what this is supposed to be, a community, right? So guys, thanks. This was fun. I enjoyed this a ton. I really enjoyed this. I want to do more of these. It seems like most people are enjoying it as well. So yeah, let's keep doing it. And to everybody in the Discord that was in the waiting room, I apologize. I can't get to you this time around. Maybe in the future we'll do like a 5-minute limit per speaker so we can get to quite a few people. But yeah, guys, thanks. It was a great weekend. Germany this Saturday. We play Germany and then Ghana next Tuesday. I probably will be on set for the Germany game, but TAC will cover the whole thing. And then bam, Monday. Or Tuesday, I'm sorry. Tuesday I'll be there for the Ghana game. Tomorrow, live stream for the under-23 roster that just dropped today. I didn't want to do it today because I was focused here on this USMNT top 10. But tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow morning sometime, we'll host that stream. Thanks. Have a great rest of your weekend, guys. Talk to you all soon.